I am sitting at my favorite and craziest desk build I have ever done, and that's saying a lot because I built a ton. I want to show you step by step how I created this, the thought process that went in behind it, and why I love it so much. So let's get into it. Last night I couldn't really sleep because I was thinking about how am I going to finish this desk to be something that is definitely unique, one of a kind. And so what I've come up with, at least in my head, is I want this to be a bar height, actually counter height desk, so I can use a stool to sit at. And what I'd like to have is this alder coming up the side here, coming out of the table top here, so it's protruding out and kind of mitering over a little bit. So it looks like just totally funky and wild. Like this wood is just protruding through the steel. I think that'll be really cool. And then on this side, I want to do something similar, but with steel, so that it gives that asymmetric look. So I want to start by getting this wood through the steel, seeing how that fits up by cutting out a notch here, getting it through, and just mocking it up and seeing what direction I'm going and if that's working or not. So this is what I'm debating. I have the tabletop propped up to 36 inches so I can sit on a stool and use it as a nice comfortable desk. This is the piece that I'm thinking, do I come through inside the steel where it's jetting up through the center? Or do I have it miter right at the corner and then kind of come forward a little bit and cut out some of this steel so it looks like the steel and the wood kind of mesh together? That's what I'm debating right now, what's gonna give a better effect. Leave a comment below right now before I do this if you think you know which direction I'm gonna go, because this is tough. They're two different looks, they're both gonna be cool, but I want it to be better than cool. I want it to be amazing. All right, well, hopefully you commented because I have decided on a route. I'm just gonna go into it without telling you and see if you catch on to which direction I'm going. But regardless, I gotta figure out exactly how wide this is. We have 14 5/8 by 1 3/4. So I need to find center here. All right, so this is so far what I got. I've marked out where I'm gonna cut so that this piece can slide from underneath up through the steel. Hopefully this works. I made this a little bit wider because as it's at an angle, it should be wider than the actual dimension of the top. So let's see. Always wear eye protection. Pretty much you're doing anything in construction. Let's just do that. I'll have that piece cut out. Let's see if the wood right there will fit in this. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at that. Does that not look freaking crazy? Now that this is in here, I kind of see the design I want to do. The bottom, I got to cut at an angle so it sits flat. Now this top, I'm going to cut at a miter to where this part actually lays flat like a floating shelf. Just like that. So that part will bend down. We'll have a mitered glued up connection here. We'll cut this square and then make sure we have a solid connection so that we can have a cool floating shelf. I think that's the direction I want to go. For this side of the table, I think that'll definitely complete it. We'll add some reinforcement underneath to hold it there and then work on the other side with these steel legs. Got to get this back out of here, which is easier said than done. Okay, not too bad. All right, so I'm gonna transcribe these marks so I can follow this angle all the way down. All right, as I'm filming this, some of the guys are on a job site with some of the tools that I'd be using, so I'm gonna use a drywall T-square instead of my big framing square, but they're both square, so they'll work. Nope. Which way is this going? All right, so I'm gonna use my skill saw here and set my fence at the correct angle for this miter. When you don't have the exact number, the best way to do it is to get down here and make sure this blade lines up exactly with that mark. that one is done. That'll create our curve for the shelf. Except I want that to be the top because this side looks like crap. Can't always have what you want. What if I filled this with resin? So you can't always have what you want. That's a freaking good idea. Why not pour some resin in there, give it some cool color? I like that. I like that a lot. That's what we're gonna do. Now I'm gonna cut the base where the leg's gonna sit on the ground. Obviously we can't leave it square, because square at an angle doesn't sit flat. All right guys, this is what I have so far. Got this leg coming down through the steel. It's cut at an angle to lay flat on the ground. This is a mitered cut that's gonna be a perfect perfect to flat shelf right here, which I think looks pretty sweet. I'm just hoping we can get a good enough connection to where I don't need anything underneath to hold it. Otherwise I might have to do a little piece of steel bar that you won't really see, but just to make sure it's solid. So I'm gonna finish this up, sand it all down and get it all clean. But I need to wrap my head around what am I gonna do with this other side? Because obviously right now this desk will not stand. So I need to think of what to do over there, and I gotta do it out of steel. So let's figure that out. So I have all this scrap steel and nothing's really coming to mind, but I think I'm gonna try and do some type of geometric shape that's a little bit crazy. So let's set our welder up here. I'm just gonna tack some things off first just to get an idea kind of what is possible. So let's see. Yes. Kind of fun just to see how this all comes together. I think it could come out pretty abstract and cool. All right, well, this is kind of what we've come up with, and I'm gonna polish it all up, grind it. I think it's gonna look pretty cool and not take away from the wood side. Almost like it's not even there. So I know it looks kind of funky now, but let's see how this thing turns out. All right, so I think we're about 90% there. The wood is done. Other than underneath, I have a piece just holding it up. Not sure really what I want to do with that yet, but all the steel skirting is done, it's welded. I'm gonna wipe it down with some mineral spirits, clean it all up, but what I had an idea of doing is painting all of this black. And I want this idea that this steel top is actually floating. So I did the minimalistic legs with this wood. I just feel like it'll make this steel look like it's somehow, like doesn't make sense how it's supported. And that's kind of the vision I was going for. So let's start with wiping this thing down one more time and then painting that black. I'm gonna make sure you get all the grease and grime off of any portion of the steel really, but especially where you're painting, you don't want to paint over a bunch of gunk and whatnot. right, so we got this all primed. This is what we're looking like so far. We're gonna come back, hit that with black. And I think it's gonna look pretty cool. Getting the idea, I want this top to look like it's just floating, which it kind of does right now, because you can barely see the legs on the right, especially when they're black. I think it's just gonna be an awesome piece. All right, now we're gonna hit it with a satin black, and I'm really hoping this turns out really cool. Let me know in the comments before I do this if this is a good idea or a bad idea. But because the gray looks pretty good actually. I like that a lot. Here we go. This is coming out absolutely better than I imagined. Yeah, this is definitely a one-of-a-kind piece. I'm very proud of how it's coming out so far. So probably give this another coat, clean the steel again, and then we'll move on to finishing the wood piece over there and getting this ready to go inside the office. I'm gonna hit this wood with this polyurethane. This isn't sponsored by Minwax, but you can pick this up at your local Lowe's, Home Depot, and it's just gonna give a little protection. Again, there's better products that I do use when I build for clients. I already have this in my shop, so rather than going and buying a $100 product that I would normally use, I'm just gonna use this and it'll work just fine for this application. So you can already see that color change. It's making this much more rich looking. Any clear coat on any wood species, I don't care what it is always gonna darken it, enhance the color, make the grains pop, make it a richer look. So it is very difficult to maintain a natural wood look if this is what you wanna go for, unless you just leave it raw. But anything you put on it, whether it's a wax, it's a polyurethane, it's an oil finish, it is gonna darken it. Anytime you do poly on the floor on your work surfaces, go back and wipe it down. There's inevitably going to be some drips somewhere, and worst thing you want to do is forget about those harden. You have to go back and grind them off, and it's a headache. Take a little look here how this came out. And that piece underneath I can take out. I just want to leave it till it's fully installed. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be constantly putting out more content and crazy builds so you guys can follow along. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, and we'll see you next time on TMBRMAN TV.